The unjust detention of Nnamdi Kanu, a stain on Nigeria's human rights record. For over 4 years, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, has languished in detention under the custody of the Nigerian government. Arrested in June 2021 after being extraordinary renditioned from Kenya, Kanu faces charges of terrorism and treasonable felony, yet the government has failed to produce credible evidence to substantiate these grave accusations. This prolonged detention without a fair trial is not only a blatant violation of Kanu's fundamental human rights, but also a chilling testament to the Nigerian state's intolerance for dissenting voices, particularly those advocating for Biafran self-determination. The continued persecution of Kanu is a politically motivated assault, rooted in his unapologetic push for Biafra's independence, and it exposes the government's alarming disregard for justice, due process, and democratic principles. A lack of evidence and a mockery of justice. The Nigerian government's case against Nnamdi Kanu is built on shaky foundations. Despite the severity of the charges leveled against him, including terrorism and incitement, the prosecution has consistently failed to present concrete evidence linking Kanu to acts of violence or terrorism. Court proceedings have been marred by delays, adjournments, and a troubling lack of transparency, raising serious questions about the integrity of the judicial process. The absence of substantive evidence after 4 years of detention suggests that the charges are a pretext to silence Kanu and dismantle the IPOB movement, which seeks a referendum for Biafra sovereignty. The Nigerian constitution guarantees the right to a fair trial and the presumption of innocence, yet Kanu has been subjected to prolonged pre-trial detention without bail. Internationally, his treatment contravenes the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which Nigeria is a signatory to. These frameworks explicitly protect individuals from arbitrary detention and ensure the right to a speedy trial. By holding Kanu without credible evidence, the Nigerian government is not only undermining its own legal system, but also flouting its obligations under global human rights standards. The detention of Nnamdi Kanu is emblematic of a broader pattern of human rights abuses by the Nigerian government against those who challenge its authority. Reports from human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, have documented the harsh conditions of Kanu's confinement, including restricted access to legal counsel, family visits, and medical care. Such treatment amounts to cruel, inhuman, and degrading punishment, further compounding the injustice of his detention. The government's heavy-handed tactics extend beyond Kanu to his supporters and the broader Biafran population. The Nigerian security forces have been accused of extrajudicial killings, mass arrests, and violent crackdowns on peaceful IPOB protests, creating an atmosphere of fear and repression. These actions reveal a deliberate strategy to criminalize dissent and suppress the legitimate aspirations of those who, like Kanu, advocate for self-determination. The right to self-determination is enshrined in international law, yet Nigeria's government has chosen to respond with brute force rather than dialogue. Political persecution for Biafran. Advocacy. At the heart of Kanu's detention lies his vocal advocacy for Biafra, a cause that resonates with many Biafrans who feel marginalized by the Nigerian central government. The Biafran movement, born out of historical grievances from the 1967-1970 Nigerian Civil War, reflects deep-seated frustrations over economic neglect, political exclusion, and cultural discrimination faced by the Biafran people. Kanu's calls for a referendum on Biafra's independence have been met with fierce resistance from a government that views any challenge to Nigeria's unity as a threat to its authority. Rather than engaging with the underlying issues fueling the Biafran agitation, the Nigerian government has opted to vilify and oppress Kanu. His detention is a clear attempt to silence a charismatic leader whose influence has galvanized millions. By branding him a terrorist without evidence, the government seeks to delegitimize the Biafran cause and intimidate its supporters. This approach not only exacerbates tensions in the old southeastern region, but also undermines Nigeria's democratic credentials on the global stage. The continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu is a travesty of justice that demands urgent action. The Nigerian government must immediately release Kanu or ensure a transparent and expeditious trial that adheres to due process. Anything less is an affront to the rule of law and a betrayal of Nigeria's constitutional principles. Furthermore, the government must cease its crackdown on IPOB supporters and engage in meaningful dialogue. The international community also has a role to play. Nigeria's partners, including the United Nations, African Union, and Western governments, must pressure Nigeria to uphold human rights and respect the rule of law. Silence in the face of such abuses risks emboldening authoritarian tendencies and eroding democratic norms across the region. Nnamdi Kanu's detention is not just about one man, it is a litmus test for Nigeria's commitment to justice, freedom, and democracy. By keeping him behind bars without evidence, the government is sending a dangerous message that dissent will be crushed and human rights will be sacrificed on the altar of political expediency. Nigeria must choose a different path, one that respects the rights of all its citizens, including those who dare to dream of a different future. Until Nnamdi Kanu is freed or given a fair trial, Nigeria's claims to democratic governance will remain hollow, and its moral authority will continue to erode. Family Writers Press International.